sitting up there. You see it? I'm not going to waste the battery.
Yeah, that's why I meant to
I just want a shot of you at 12 o'clock. You'll never get that again. Wish I could get just
Right, good afternoon everybody and welcome to the Flight of the Eagle show. My name is Chris, along with David and a few February friends. I'm hopefully going to entertain you for the next 20-25 minutes or so. First bird that we're going to have a look at is on this lower ledge on the castle here. This is a Verrows or Milky Eagle Owl, and his name is Ernie. And I guess the easiest way of kicking off the show is to bring him in here so that we can have a slightly closer look at him. Ernie is a baby. You can do the baby thing if you want. Okay, that was a bit exciting though, too much. But young Ernie is having a great life. The last 6 months of his life have been very, very, very exciting indeed. He's hatched from an egg, about 75 millimetres across, or 3 inches if you're in old money, and on a rich diet of rats and mice and lizards and bugs and beetles, young Ernie has grown to this enormous bird in a very short space of time indeed. And I suppose a bit like all youngsters, he thinks the world's wonderful. It doesn't matter what the weather throws at children, they always seem to have a smile on their face, and of course that's how it should be when you're young. But there are all tough times ahead, and how old are you children, by the way, over there? I shouldn't say children because you're like nearly into the big world and drinking beer and things like that, but when you get to about 13 or 14 years of age, children, what's going to happen is that your mums and dads are going to naturally turn against you. And I just want you to understand where Ernie is in his life. He's a bit like a teenager, and his mum and his dad, although they worshipped every little twig that they sat on, they're actually getting a bit fed up of Ernie on the mobile phone all the time, slamming doors, and they want him to leave home. And of course, the first time they suggested leaving home, I'm quite sure that young Ernie just sat there in the nest, rubbed his belly up and down a few times and said, no thanks, I'll stick with the delivery service. So what happens is his mum and dad stop feeding him for a couple of days, and then Ernie gets the idea that if he follows his mum and dad around, then he's going to get some food. And this, in essence, is what's happening here. Ernie is not my best pal. Doesn't matter how many times I tell him I love him, he's never ever going to fly onto the end of my arm for love alone. And I can demonstrate that really very, very easily by just saying, look Ernie, I love you. I'll be your best pal forever and ever and ever. I'll swap you all my best football cards. It's just not working at all, is it? But if I add the secret ingredients, which is a bit of breakfast, dinner and tea, then we get an immediate response. So this is actually a cupboard love relationship. And at no stage is Ernie ever going to let me tickle his chin. He's never ever going to sort of be interested in have a stroke like perhaps a dog would do. He's not a sociable creature at all. But of course his mum and his dad do love him. And like all mums and dads in the world, they want him to do wonderfully well in the world. They may have wanted him to be a solicitor or maybe an accountant or something like that. And of course, good solid jobs. And young Ernie unfortunately can't be a solicitor or an accountant because he's an owl. We all know solicitors and accountants are vultures. It's a different breed altogether. So Ernie can't change his job. He can't do anything other than jump on things in the dark. And that begs the question is, what on earth is Ernie doing out during daylight hours? Well, Ernie isn't a wild owl. His mum and his dad originally came from Kenya. Young Ernie here was born in a very exciting place called Wolverhampton. So he's never really been out in the wild. He's never had any natural feelings to sort of hide himself away during the daytime. And to be honest, he actually isn't even really bothered about this job here at Warwick Castle. He doesn't think it's like a high-profile job. All he's interested in is the food, and if he was left out in the wild, then I'm sure that Ernie will probably fail, and most young birds do, in actual fact, about 80%. Now, I offered him some food on that post over there, and Ernie just sort of went, do you know what, I couldn't eat another bit of chicken, really, do you know what I mean? He's really quite a fat owl, but sometimes if you just give him words of encouragement, everybody as a youngster likes to have words of encouragement, then we can sometimes get a response out of him. So, taxidermy. You might not know what that is, but it's just like a bit of reassurance, really. It's just letting Ernie know that I care for him. And in actual fact, just walking back to him and then walking away from him usually triggers that response I guess of a youngster following his mum and dad around, and that's exactly what has just happened there. So it's not actually anything to do with taxidermy. He doesn't understand what I say, and most of the things that we deal with body language. And Ernie can tell me if he's happy, he can tell me if he's upset or sad, and that's just by the way that he holds his feathers. And anybody can read these signals and signs. It's not really very complicated at all. Ernie is a lovely, lovely creature, but he doesn't understand how the big world works at the moment. And of course, at about 8 months of age, his mum and his dad will be getting really very angry with him, and they'd be sort of like really trying to get him to leave home, and there's no extended warranty, there's no sort of coming back with a bag full of washing from university or Sunday lunch or anything like that. Life does get very difficult, and Ernie will be, well, I guess, sort of just failing really. Many young owls get killed by other predators because they're slow moving, and of course that's because they're designed to sneak upon the prey at night time, but it has the disadvantage in that if they get spotted during daylight hours, then they will very often lose their lives. Disease, starvation is a big factor as well, and one of the things that's vitally important is, well, hunting and actually catching your prey. Ernie has everything that he needs to do so. He's got big eyes to help him see in the dark. He's got very sophisticated hearing, with which he locates animals moving around in the dark. And to give you an idea of how that works, and